Dear students, here today we are going to see about thermodynamics. See, this is the one of the important chapters in view of competitive exams. First, to understand the thermodynamics, let's see some terms which we are going to see across in this chapter. They are, see, system and surroundings. System is defined as it is a part of universe under investigation. See, in which we are going to study the changes in a system. Okay. So this is a part of universe, and the remaining part of universe is said to be surroundings. For practical purposes, the space or the region which is in the vicinity of system is taken as the surroundings. To understand this word, see, let's take this example. Here, say some hot water is placed in this beaker, and here to maintain this temperature, say this is the thermostat, and heat transfer takes place from this to this. This is the system in which we are observing the changes, and this region is said to be surroundings. For practical purpose, that's why I told you, for practical purpose, the region which is in the vicinity of system is said to be surroundings. Next word is, see, a boundary. A boundary is defined as the wall which separates a system and surroundings. That is said to be boundary. In this example, see, this system is covered by these boundaries. System is separated from the surroundings by this boundary. A boundary may be real like this or imaginary. For example, if you want to study changes in atmosphere in a certain region, there, since in this region, if you want to study the changes in climatic conditions, this is said to be system, and the remaining part is said to be surroundings. But here, this is the imaginary boundary. Okay, it's not real. So in that way, a boundary may be real or imaginary. Now see, types of boundaries. See, one of them is rigid boundary. See, it is defined as, see, it is a wall whose position is fixed, like as we have seen in the previous example. Okay, and see, permeable boundary. Let's say like that. Impermeable boundary. Next one is see diathermic boundary and adiabatic boundary. See the difference. Permeable boundary means it permits, it allows the passage of or exchange of matter and energy, both matter and energy with the surroundings. It allows the exchange of both matter and energy by a system with the surroundings. Impermeable boundary, that doesn't permit the exchange of matter but energy. Diathermic also same. So a diathermic boundary is impermeable boundary. Whereas if you look at adiabatic boundary, it allows neither exchange of neither matter or nor energy with the surroundings. Okay, so these are different types of boundaries. Now let's see types of system. Types of system according to thermodynamics. There are three types: open system, closed system, and isolated system. Let's see with an example. See, in an open system, for example, water and water vapor present in an open vessel. See here, this system can exchange both matter and energy with the surroundings through this boundary. See, through this boundary, it can exchange both matter and energy. So this is said to be permeable boundary. The surface of water and this air combination, so that acts as a permeable membrane boundary. Whereas this one, see, through this boundary you cannot exchange the matter but energy can be. So this is impermeable boundary, whereas this one is, see, permeable boundary. Here both matter and energy can be exchanged with the surroundings. So here delta M is not equal to 0, and also delta E, change in energy. Here energy changes, it is not constant. Okay. Next, in a closed vessel, water and water vapor in a closed vessel or in a closed beaker. Here matter cannot be exchanged with the surroundings, but energy can be. See this? There is no permeable membrane. All are impermeable membranes or diathermic boundaries. Impermeable boundary or a diathermic boundary. Whereas an isolated system, see, consider water or hot water in which is covered by an insulation. See, because of this, neither matter nor energy can be exchanged with the surroundings. So this is said to be an isolated system. Here, see, there is no change in the amount of matter in this system, So delta M is 0, but delta E is not equal to 0. Here no change in the quantity of matter, so delta M is 0 and also delta E is 0. So these are the three different types of systems: open system, closed system and isolated system. Next, let's see some properties of thermodynamic system. They are extensive property and intensive property. Extensive and intensive property. What is meant by extensive property? See, it is the property of a system which depends on the quantity of system. Depends on the quantity of system, this property. Whereas this property, see, means intensive property, that is independent of quantity of system. See this, independent of quantity of system. Let's see some examples. For example, mass or volume. See, volume of see, for example, if you take 1 kg of water or 1000 grams of water according to its density, that is equal to 1000 ml, or 100 grams of water, that is 100 ml. Like that, volume depends on quantity of system. Similarly, number of moles. See, 1000 grams of water contains some number of moles. 100 grams of water contains some number of moles. So amount of subsystem also related to number of moles. And entropy, free energy, we will see about these terms later. Enthalpy, nothing but heat energy. So like that, there are different properties. So these are all related to quantity of system. Okay, even see this here, independent. This is independent of quantity of system. See the examples. Temperature, for example, see, for example, in a beaker contains 100 ml of water. Say its temperature is 27 degrees centigrade. From this, take out 10 ml of water, transfer 10 ml of water from this to this. Again, its temperature is 27 degrees centigrade, irrespective of the quantity. Okay, so temperature. Similarly, boiling point, melting point. See, boiling point, melting point, temperature, or molarity. Okay, surface tension, refractive index, like that. These are all independent of quantity of system. And another important word is density of system, like that. See, ratio of two extensive properties of a system, that is an intensive property. For example, density. Density is nothing but mass per unit volume. See, mass is an extensive property. Volume is an extensive property. Extensive property by extensive property. Whereas density is an intensive property. Okay. Similarly, you can see molarity, number of moles by volume. Number of moles is an extensive property. Volume is an extensive property, but molarity is an intensive property. Okay, like that. So these are said to be, so these are different types of properties of a system. Okay. Next, state variables. State variables. See, what are state variables? See, the properties which describe the state of a system, that is said to be state variable. State of a system, state means generally student thinks of physical state. It need not be physical state. There may be, see, what are the state variables? Pressure, volume, temperature and number of moles. These are state variables. They define the state of a system. For example, in a vessel, say a gas is at pressure P1 and volume V1 at the temperature T1. If its conditions are changed to P2, V2 and T2. See, now the state of the system is said to be changed. For the same system means N is constant, number of moles is constant. That's why here I have not written them. Okay. So these are the state variables. These terms define, these are the measurable properties which describe the state of a system. They are state variables. Next, state functions. State functions. See, this property or which depends on the initial and final state, but not on the path in which that change is carried out. So that is said to be state function. Means it depends only on the initial and final states of a system, not on the path of the process in which that change is brought. For example, delta H or delta U, it is nothing but change in internal energy, change in enthalpy, or delta V, delta G, delta S, etc. Okay, let's try to understand. For example, delta V is a state function. It is independent of path in which change in volume is carried out. Now we are going to prove that. See this. Say a system initially, a system is that is initially at pressure P1 and volume V1 at the temperature T. T1 say, or you can do in any one. Let's say for the discussion sake, let's keep the temperature constant. Now finally it is changed to the pressure P2 and volume V2 at the same temperature. See, this change for the system, state is changed from this state to this state. Okay. Say this is the initial state and this is the final state. This change can be done in different ways. in a direct process, or means in single step, or through more than one steps. Okay, first see, in a process, in method 1, say it is done in single step. It is done in single step. Now, final change in volume delta V is said to be V2 minus V1. Final volume minus initial volume. Okay. Now, let's consider method 2. See, in this method, first the system is initially at P1, V1 and the temperature T. Now, see, it is changed to the volume V at the pressure P, when the pressure is changed to P. And see, again, now the pressure is changed to, temperature is kept constant. Now the pressure is changed to P2 and volume V2. So here this change in the second method, this change is done in 2 steps. In 2 steps, this is step 1 and this is step 2. Here change in volume say delta V1, here change in volume say delta V2, and this total change in volume is delta V. So from this very clearly delta V is equal to delta V1 plus delta V2. How do you get delta V1? V final, for this V final minus V initial. V minus V1. This is delta V1 plus delta V2. Here this is for this step V2 minus V. See clearly what is this? These 2 gets cancelled. This is equal to V2 minus V1. Now see whether this change is done in single step or in 2 steps, delta V remains same, means depends on the initial and final states only. See, in this way we can prove other terms also, delta H. Okay, delta H according to Hess law we can prove that. Okay, so in that way this property which depends only on the initial and final states of a system is said to be a state function. Next one, path function. See, this property depends on the path in which that change of system is carried out. Not only on the path, it depends on the initial and final states and also on the path of the process in which that change is carried out. Therefore, a path function means that the property depends on both, that is initial and final states and also on the path. Okay. For example, best example, work done and Q. So these are path functions. Work done in a process that depends on the path in which it is carried, whether it is done in isothermal process or isobaric process like that, or a reversible or irreversible like that. We will say about these terms later. Okay. So this is about path function. Now let's see some thermodynamical processes. Thermodynamical processes. These are also very much helpful to solve the problems. So you should be very careful with each and every word that we are discussing in this video. Okay. Now let's see about this thermodynamical processes. There are these are all very simple. See, isobaric process. Isobaric means here pressure is kept constant. So dP is 0. Isochoric process, in this process changes in system are carried out at constant volume, and it is here dV is equal to 0, no change in volume. Isothermal process, here dt is 0 at constant, process is done at constant temperature. Adiabatic process, in this there is no, in this process there is no loss or gain of, no exchange of energy by the system with the surroundings. Therefore Q is equal to 0. Okay. And a cyclic process, this is also an important word. Cyclic process. What is meant by cyclic process? If a system, after undergoing several changes, if it comes back to the original state, initial state, that is said to be cyclic process. Let's see diagrammatically. For example, say initially a system is at this state, means at this pressure and at this volume. Now see, it is changed to the state B. Here its volume is changed, but pressure is kept constant, means isobaric process A to B. And B to C, say this is here at constant volume, isochoric process, and again it is brought back to the initial state A. Here temperature is constant, isothermal process. This is isobaric, isochoric, isothermal. Okay, again see, it comes back to the original state. Or let's take one more example. Pressure versus volume. Say initial state A. Now it is changed from A to B in this way, and B to A. See, again it came to its original state. So this is said to be cyclic process. In a cyclic process, delta U is 0. There is no change in its internal energy. It is, again, because it is coming back to its original state. Or delta G 0, or delta H 0. But what about work done? See, people think that work done is 0. No, work done is not equal to 0 and Q is not equal to 0. In a cyclic process, particularly remember this. How do you say that W is not equal to 0 or Q is not equal to 0? I will explain in the next video. But let me tell you one single word. This is pressure versus volume. Work done is expressed, can be expressed as the product of pressure and volume. Or area under the curve gives work done. Here there is some area under this curve. It is not equal to 0. Clearly W is not equal to 0. Similarly here W is not equal to 0. Okay, this is a diagrammatic explanation. I will give you mathematical explanation in the next video. In addition to this, see, all these processes may be reversible or irreversible. Okay, so let's see what is meant by a reversible process and how to identify this term in a given problem. Okay, first let's see about a reversible process. Reversible means if a system it has undergone some change and it can be bring back to the original state without causing any change in the surroundings. for that purpose, it has to be done in infinitesimally small steps. Infinitesimally small steps. To understand this, see, let's take this illustration. Consider a gas present in a vessel fitted with a piston, movable piston. Okay, here it is the gas. Say its pressure P, and there is a next. Now this piston came to a steady state at which external pressure and internal pressure of gas both become equal. Let it be P external. Consider some sand particles on this. Some number of sand particles are placed over this piston. Okay, this is the initial state. If suppose that 2 or 3 particles of sand is removed, if 2 or 3 particles of sand is removed, means external pressure is reduced by a very small amount, infinitesimally small amount. So external pressure decreases. So because of that, see, the pressure of gas is more when compared to this. So expansion of gas takes place. Piston moves upwards. Okay, now see this. Volume increases. If the same 2 or 3 sand particles are if they are added back to this, again what happens? It comes to the first position. Okay, so in this process, there is no considerable change in the system, in the property of system, and also in surroundings. So in that way, we can reverse a system to its initial state without causing any change in the surroundings. So to do that, see, suppose if you want to change the volume of this from V1 to V2 without any change, without producing any change in the surroundings, we have to do like this by several number of steps, infinite number of steps, that too infinitesimally small steps. If it is done quickly, you cannot bring back to the original state without any change in the surroundings. So that is the important one. Okay, so to bring back the system to its original state, it has to be done in infinite number of steps from one state to another state. That too by infinitesimally small steps, just like addition of few particles or removal of few particles, like that. So that is reversible. So at each and every step, the system is in equilibrium state, which is said to be quasi-equilibrium. Okay. So hereafter, remember this, a reversible process. How do you observe? If they have directly given in the problem, then you have no problem. If they have given this is a reversible process, then nothing to think about that. But sometimes they give indirectly. So what's that? If the system is carried out in several steps, that too by infinitesimally small steps, that is reversible process. But actually, practically, it's not possible. This is hypothetical process. Okay. Next one is an irreversible process. See, the change, for example, change in volume of gas from V1 to V2 is done in single step. rapidly. It is difficult to bring it back to the original state without causing any changes in the surroundings. So that is said to be irreversible process. Okay. So students, in this video we have seen some thermodynamical terms. Okay, in the next video we will continue this